prolific blogger, he's a speaker, and he has authored several books, including his latest, How Goodness Pays. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Paul Batz.
Because of the way I was raised, I've always believed that goodness pays. The four major institutions that historically have knit us all together, we're losing trust in it really fast. Government, big business, organized religion, and of course, the media. We're expecting our workplaces, specifically businesses, to be a source of positivity. And when we have it there, where we feel involved and engaged and alive. When we don't have it, we seek out places like this, and also we yearn for leaders who can be a really strong source of moral and ethical strength and brightness in our world, and we call that goodness. So that's a perfect transition. I'm about to introduce you to somebody who lives a good life, who radiates goodness. Please join me in welcoming the world's most famous boyfriend, Stedman Graham.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I like your introduction. I appreciate it. I'm very humbled by it, Paul, and I'm very humbled by your work and what you do. I think you're spot on. And I also want to thank my good friend, Kevin Warren, who was a friend of mine for 30 years, and he espouses good leadership. Obviously, you're all good leaders. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here this morning, right? And what is this goodness thing? This goodness thing is powerful. When you talk about good leadership, first of all, leadership is everything. And without it, you really have nothing. And it's a very special gift to be a leader. That's a gift. That's a blessing. Because basically you have about 99% of the world who are followers. That represents about 6.9 billion people who are looking for leadership. So when you're a leader, you really have no competition. And when you talk about good leadership, I think about how do you take information, education, make it relevant to who you are, transfer it to your mind so you can be a thinking human being in the 24 hours you have every single day, which is what everybody, which makes everybody equal. Everybody has 24 hours. The question is, what do you do with your 24 hours? Most people don't know what to do with the 24 hours. And when we talk about good leadership, I think about self-mastery. How do you master yourself in faith? How do you master yourself in family? How do you master yourself in finances? How do you master yourself in fitness? How do you master yourself in friends, fun, and future? And the definition of goodness, as Paul has it here, is when people thrive together in a culture of encouragement, accountability, and positive teamwork. And the key word for me here is thrive. Can you thrive based on your potential as a human being? I don't know if you can do that. Because I don't think it's set up for you to be able to thrive. It may be set up for you to work, but it's not set up for you personally to thrive. Most people, they get up in the morning, they wash their face, they brush their teeth, they get something to eat, they get the kids off to school, they work all day, they come home in the afternoon, they spend time with the family, they watch TV, they go to bed, maybe they dream that's Monday. I don't know how you thrive if you're on Tuesday, you get up in the morning, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you get something to eat, you get the kids off to school, you work all day, come home in the afternoon, you spend time with the family, you watch TV, you go to bed, maybe you dream that's Tuesday. I don't really know how you thrive if on Wednesday, you get up in the morning, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you get something to eat, you get the kids off to school, you work all day, you come home in the afternoon, you spend time with the family, you watch TV, you go to bed, maybe you dream. That's Wednesday. Then on Thursday, you do what? The same thing. And then on Friday, some people are looking for happiness, so then maybe they go to happy hour on Friday. And then Saturday they wash, they clean up, they get the kids off to activity. Saturday night they go out. Sunday a lot of people go to church, they eat chicken dinners in the afternoon, and they get ready for work on Monday. Wow, I've been doing that for 40 years. I have no more in the end than I had in the beginning. So if you did the same thing you did yesterday as you will do today, as you will do tomorrow, what have you done? Nothing. And then we're kind of stuck in a traditional educational system that teaches us how to memorize and take tests, repeat the information back, we get labeled with a grade, and 2 weeks later if I asked you what you learned, what would you say? Nothing. So nothing from nothing is nothing. You can't be that good. If you're doing the same thing over and over and everything you learn you forget and you have no life. And the only and most important question anybody will ever ask you in your life that will allow you to maximize your potential based on all of these 7 F's is this. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? And when you don't know who you are, wow, you're just kind of walking around searching for value. If you don't know who you are, you let the world define you by your race and tell you that you can't make it because of the color of your skin. If you don't know who you are, you're defined by your gender and told that you can't make it because you're a woman, you can't make it because it's a man's world. If you don't know who you are, you're defined by your history. You're stuck in that box. You're defined by your family sometimes, good or bad. When you don't know who you are, you're defined by your religion. You're defined by your house and your car and your money and your title and your job. You're not going anywhere. You'll never be able to maximize your potential as a human being until you have an identity, until you can focus on the outside as opposed to focusing on the inside as opposed to focusing on the outside. See, we got some work to do in terms of good leadership. Because if you're looking for freedom on the outside, ladies and gentlemen, you'll never find it. See, it took me a long time to realize it's not how the world defines you, it's how you define yourself. And you have to take control of that. And nobody wants to give you that. I understand it very well. I was defined by my family. I had 2 disabled brothers in my family. Tough thing to deal with. I grew up with low self-esteem, a lack of confidence. And the only thing that kept me from destroying myself, I worked in the prison system 5 years. I didn't say I was in the prison system 5 years. I understand he was in the prison system 5 years, and now he's speaking in Minnesota. I don't want you to go back and say that. But there's no question I would have been in prison in that system, Kevin, except for one thing. I was a ball player. And basketball helped me what? Believe in myself. And then as Kevin says, I'm defined by my relationship. I'm with a very powerful woman, a wonderful person who I love and care about and who's accomplished great things. And every time I walk out the door, people define me by my relationship. They don't even know my name. They say, oh, you're Oprah's man. So I'm defined by that. And then I was defined by all the other things that I just talked about. And it took me a long time to realize, well, how do you transform? Oh, I get it. It's goodness, which I equate to love, the most powerful word in the world. You cannot transform. You'll never reach your potential unless you focus on the most powerful word in the world. And the most powerful word in the world is Love. And how do you make love practical? It's the question. How do you take the 24 hours that you have every single day and develop a process of continuous improvement so you can be a better person today than you were yesterday? Einstein said you cannot solve a problem with the same mindset that caused it. So you have to be a thinker to be able to do that. You have to be aware to be able to do that. You got to be able to discover yourself and work on yourself every single day, so you don't get trapped doing the same thing over and over every single day. You're not going anywhere. Unless you have some self-awareness about who you are, and you can work on that every single day by organizing everything you love in your life. It really is simple to develop an identity for yourself. You just have to write down on a piece of paper everything you love. And organize that around the information we have available to us. So you take information in education, and what changed my life was when I became a learner, and a self-directed learner, Paul, where I understood how to take information I can get from the internet, and take information I can get from books, and take information I can get from experiences and experts. And I can take that information and apply it to my development every single day based on my talents, based on my skills, based on my passions, based on what I love, and based on my goodness. And so to be able to do that, I'm able now to what? Define myself based on all these things plus more, based on all my hobbies, based on where I want to travel to, use my imagination to create, based on a second step. I teach a 9-step success process. I teach identity leadership, which is self-leadership based on the philosophy that you cannot lead anybody else until you first lead yourself. So it's a process of self-actualization. How do you self-actualize your own potential so that the more you have, the more you can give? You can't give anything unless you have something. And the value that you give yourself is the value the world gives you. The world sees you as you see yourself. So how do you see yourself? And being able to organize that around the most powerful word in the world. And then the second step is to visualize who you want to become. The good book says where there is no vision, the people perish. You got to have a vision beyond yourself. Poverty is this. Poverty is doing the same thing over and over every single day, getting the same results. You have dead eyes and no energy. You're not energized because you're not even engaged in the world that you live in every single day. It's a beautiful world. We live in the greatest country in the world, America. We live in a global market that we can access in about 3 seconds, 4 seconds with our technology. How are you able to what? Organize information and bring it into your own soul, to your own core existence. So you can begin to organize that and put that out in terms of service to the world based on your talents and based on your skills and based on your gifts. Second step, you got to have a vision. The third step, you got to have a plan. Oh man, I'm motivated every single day. I can't wait to get up, man. I'm a good leader. I got a vision. I can organize the world. I'm in the education business. How big is education? It's worldwide. How big should my resources be worldwide? How big should my opportunities be worldwide? The third step is you got to have a plan. You got to be able to put it down on paper. You got to be able to record it, because when you walk out that door, what's going to happen? You're going to forget everything that happened just a minute ago. And the world's going to take you by storm. And you're going to be so busy you have no focus. You have no alignment. You have no clear vision of where you're going. You can't even create a collective consciousness of people around a community or even a family, because everybody's going in 15 different directions. So good leadership is bringing everybody together based on a vision. Fourth step, master the rules of the road. Your guiding principles. Got to have a value system. Value system is based on 7 F's. Value system is based on trust, determination, perseverance. Hard to work hard. That's a value system. You got to be a hard worker. Hard to work hard if you hate what you do. So that's why the passion and the purpose is so important. Step 5, step into the outer limits, overcoming your fears. There's only 2 emotions. There's love and fear. You can choose one. It relates to goodness. Every single day you have a choice. Who am I going to be today? How do I begin to change the way I think every single day about myself? How do I get out of that hardwiring negativity? I've been hardwired to be negative. The foundation of my existence is negative. So I grew up that way. The foundation of my existence is negative. The transformation for me is always what? Moving from negative to positive. First with my thinking and then with my feelings. Step 5, step into the outer limits, overcoming your fear. Step 6, pilot the seasons of change. How many changes do we go through from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed? Hundreds of changes every single day. It's cold outside. That's a big change this morning. When I got up this morning and had to start that car, it was cold. So, you kind of want to go back into the warm weather. But what? You got work to do, so you have to do it. You have to overcome the change. Do you have the tenacity? And do you have the perseverance? And do you have the ability to be able to what? Overcome the obstacles regardless of the changes you have to deal with every single day. That's good leadership. Step 7, build your dream team. No one makes it alone. No man or woman is an island unto themselves. You cannot make it by yourself. You need a team. And your team is always predicated on what? How strong or weak you are. Law of the jungle says only the strong survive. Nobody cares about you being weak. Step 8, win by decision. Took me a long time to realize, it's about the information. I read one book in high school, ladies and gentlemen. I'm working on my 12th one. What's the transformation for me? I discovered learning. I discovered the power of information. And not just information, but I learned the power of being able to take that information and make it relevant to my growth and my development, and to my passion and purpose, and to my identity every single day. Last step, you have to be able to commit to your vision. And we're talking about a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle. Faith, family, finances, fitness, friends, fun, future that you have to work on every single day. I'm not talking about transactional thinking. I'm talking about transformational thinking. Can you transform your life into the world that we live in every single day? And really, I'm talking about this. I'll end with this poem by William Ernest Henley, and it's called Invictus. And it says, out of the night that covered me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstances, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters now how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it very much.
Your question of us to think about our identity, do you recall any of the specifics of maybe the exact moment you started to really discover your identity?
Well, life is a journey, so you don't discover anything all at one time. And you don't even know when you're discovering, because you have two kinds of thinking. You have the conscious thinking and the unconscious thinking. And basically, we're run by our unconscious, which can be very dangerous because we deal with a lot of trauma. It's hardwired with those of our experiences of how we grew up. Our anger, a lot of times, comes from our unconscious. Yeah. And so, for me, it was being able to, over a period of time, get these aha moments. I mean, I was yearning for equality. Yeah. And I felt like that I wasn't equal. And I couldn't understand it. I said, why can't I feel like I'm equal to everybody else? And so, so that was really my quest for trying to find the freedom that I found. And I discovered it through a long journey of, I was in service, played ball in Europe. And through all of that process, I realized, oh, the process of success is the same for everybody else. So that was part of my identity.
Yeah, sure.
And then, of course, in my relationship, being defined and not feeling comfortable every time I walked out the door, and always having to prove myself.
Yeah, that's right.
I also had to deal with that. So I was always pushing myself to find out the answers. And then business, again, helped me break down all of these different areas, in business, because business is business is business is business. Then I started to organize my life around myself when I discovered that, it's not about the outside world. It's not about how the world defines you. It's how you define myself. But I had no skills around that. The educational system doesn't teach you that. So how do I now take control and develop a process? You took 5 years to create this process, create a process for myself. I put it into a 9-step success process that worked for me.
Yeah.
And then after it worked for me, I said, this will work for people of color, this will work for women, this will work for general market. It doesn't make any difference whether you're white, you're black, whether you live in China or we live in India. The process of success is the same for everybody. I was just teaching that. It took me 20 years to discover identity. And so I discovered identity, and I said, the identity is scalable. I can now use that as a way to scale this into the internet, and be able to scale it throughout the world based on that name. And then I created Identity Leadership, right, as a way to segment identity into the different subsets. And so that's how I came up with it.
Let's talk about Oprah.
Okay.
What is your perspective on how did Oprah become Oprah?
Well, number one, you're dealing with a genius. Most people don't know that. She has a photographic memory. So she retains information very well. And then she's able to understand, first of all, she's a good person. Secondly, she's a good person. First, she's a good person, and then she retains information. Let's just get that straight, okay?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then she wants to help people. She wants to make a difference in people's lives. And it's pretty much divine. Her life is divine, just like I feel like my life is divine, because I read one book in high school and I'm able now to write 12. So for her, it's like being able to have that drive, and you got to have the drive, and you got to have the want to, and you also have to have the process, and you have to have, again, you have to be a part of the American Free Enterprise System, and you got to be able to communicate very well, which she's one of the greatest communicators in the world. So putting all that together allows her to be who she is. But you can imagine, this is a woman from Kosciuszko, Mississippi. In Mississippi, growing up through the time that she grew up, and having to, outhouse in the back, they had to wash her own clothes by hand, make lye soap, all of that, to go from there to become a billionaire, and to own her own magazine, and to be able to now with the Weight Watchers program, and she's a part owner in that, and the networks, and now the Apple TV, and partnering with them and all of that. One woman. One woman that has goodness and intelligence and lives in America, greatest country in the world. Putting all that together says what? Says that if she can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
Based on the talents and skills that you have.
You talked earlier about making sure you build a team.
Yeah.
So who's your team in helping you build this identity leadership movement?
Great question. My team is actually made up of people that are co-creating and going in the same direction I'm going based on similar thoughts and aspirations and vision and all of that. So, I mean, it's good to be able to be clear, to have clarity on who you are and who you want to become so you can build a team around that. And that's made up for me in corporations. I have a number of beautiful clients that I'm working with, organized distribution worldwide. Schools, I'm in schools. I have curriculum in schools. I have curriculum, we've in colleges, universities. So we have a big market. Our markets are pretty much worldwide, and we segment that market at all levels. And so, it's great to be able to segment teams at different levels. So you have a team over here, and that's a segment, and a team over here, and that's a segment. You have your own personal team. And, I've met you, so hopefully we can create some kind of a team relationship.
Team Stedman.
And so,
how about that? Yeah.
And so when you have clarity, you have drive, you have authenticity, you have trust, you have goodness, and you want to serve the people in the world, it's a beautiful thing to be able to organize the team. But there is a process for that. And you got to create kind of segments in the marketplace that hopefully are scalable and that you can leverage, and your relationships are the most important thing, is your relationships, because people have to give you business. You don't get business just because you open up a business.
That's right.
You get business because people like you and they care for you. And in order to have those kinds of relationships, and Kevin is really great at this, to build those relationships, you got to like yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to care for yourself. Because again, it takes people 3 seconds to size you up when you walk through that door. They already know your life. So you get the chance to what? To make an impact in 3 seconds. Everybody's watching you. So to be able to again, create a process that will maximize your potential as a human being that allows you to do all the things we're talking about.
So final question. We're all about helping people, encouraging people to be unapologetic in living a leadership life where goodness does pay. Can you remember a goodness pays moment where you just knew for sure that goodness pays?
Well, the law of attraction, and you have this in your book, the law of attraction says whatever you put out, you get back. It is very simple. If you got a bad thought, you better try to change it. If you're feeling bad, you better try to change that. So for me, wow, when things are tough, and things have been very tough, especially this last several years, because I'm trying to go to the next level by building a business, not just making a living, building a business that's sustainable, that allows me to create opportunity worldwide. That's hard, and there's no roadmap for it. So it's trial and error, and I had, and you do a lot of, you have significant amount of errors, and so goodness allows me to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to change my energy level from negative to what? To positive, because I'm not trying to attract a failed model. I'm trying to get through this very difficult time right now, and I need to be what? I don't need to go back in my history and focus on my history as a way to solve my problem, right? I need to be different and change from a negative thinking to positive thinking as a way to attract, right, the goodness that the world has for me and everybody else. But for me, I need the goodness right now because I need to solve this issue. And the best way to do that is get out of your ego and surrender to the world and focus on humility as a way for the world now to lift you up and support you. And so moving into that very, that beautiful, blessed state of mind where you say, you know what, I'm open to be able to have to figure out how to solve this problem, and I'm open, universe. I'm going to be open, and I'm going to surrender to you to let you solve the problem. And it always comes out in your favor.
I'm
because
so happy
energy
to know you.
and negativity always destroys.
Please give it up for Stedman Graham.
Thank you so much. Thank you.